Good morning, guys. Welcome back to my channel, Rider Nada Moto Diaries. Today is day 4, and now we are headed towards Ajanta Caves. We'll take our time, explore the Ajanta Caves, and after that, we have a 400-kilometer ride back to Mumbai. So let's see how the day turns out to be. Hoping it to be good. So till then, let's continue the ride. That's right. Day 4, Ajanta Caves. Last night, after exploring Ellora, though half of it couldn't be explored, rode from there to Ajanta. The distance from Ellora to Ajanta is 100 kilometers, but the whole route is in bad condition. Apart from having many potholes, many places there was slush due to unexpected rain few days back. It was a hard ride as we had explored Daulatabad and Ellora. We were exhausted. Luckily got a good hotel which had only one room left. In the morning left to the viewpoint of Ajanta Caves from where it looks like a horseshoe shape. There were stairs to get down to the caves, but those were around 1000 steps and it reaches to the middle of the cave. Also, we had to climb back to get our bikes. So we chose to ride to the main entrance of the cave, which is around 10 to 15 kilometers from here. So we came here to see the viewpoint. We got a good view from here, but the only problem is we have 1300 steps to go down and come up to visit the caves. So it's better, there is a 23-kilometer road. From there we will reach the main entrance point of the cave, and there is some ST bus which takes us close to the cave. So that will be easier for us to explore it. So we are starting from here and going to the main ticket counter, which is there 23 kilometers from here. So let's continue the ride. There are around 28 to 30 caves dating back to 2 century BCE to 480 CE. These caves have got the UNESCO tag in 1983. These caves are famous for the ancient Indian art, particularly expressive paintings that present emotions through gesture, pose, and form. It is said that all the caves were once painted, but now best of them are seen in caves number 1, 2, 16, and 17. The main theme of the painting is the depiction of various Jataka stories, different incidents associated with the life of Buddha and the contemporary events and social life. The ceiling decoration invariably consists of geometrical as well as floral decorative patterns. Apart from painted representation, sculptural panels also adorn the beauty of the caves. These paintings are the best example of tempera techniques executed after elaborate preparation of rock surfaces. After chiseling the rock surface, different layers of clay mixed with ferruginous earth, sand, fibrous material of organic origin have applied carefully. Then the surface is finished with a thin coat of lime wash. The pigment used for the paintings are kaolin, shell white, lead white, red ochre, yellow ochre, lapis lazuli, etc. After parking the bike, walk past many shops in that area. From there till the caves there is a separate bus service with tickets. After getting down, got the tickets from the caves and had some refreshments at the MTTC hotel and continued our tour. Cave 1. This cave measures 35.7 meter into 27.6 meter, has one of the most elaborate carved facades with relief sculptures on entablature and ridges, and most surfaces embellished with decorative carving. There are scenes carved from the life of Buddha as well as a number of decorative motifs. The cave has a front court with cells fronted by pillared vestibules on either side. These have a high plinth level. The cave has a porch with simple cells on both ends. The absence of pillared vestibules on the end suggests that the porch was not excavated in the latest phase of Ajanta, when pillared vestibules had become customary. Most areas of the porch were once covered with murals, of which many fragments remain, especially on the ceiling. There are 3 doorways, a central doorway and 2 side doorways. 2 square windows were carved between the doorways to brighten the interiors. Cave 2. This cave is best known for its feminine focus, intricate rock carvings and paintwork, yet it is incomplete and lacks consistency. One of the 5th century frescoes in this cave shows children at a school, with those in front rows paying attention to the teacher while those in the back are shown distracted and acting. The hall has 4 colonnades which are supporting the ceiling and surrounding a square in the center of the hall. Each arm or colonnade of a square parallel to the respective walls of the hall, making an eye. The colonnades have rock beams above and below. The capitals are carved and painted with various decorative themes that include ornamental, human, animal, vegetative motifs. Cave 3. Cave 3 is merely a start of an excavation. It was begun right at the end of the final period of work and soon abandoned. This is an incomplete monastery and only the preliminary excavations of pillars veranda exist. The cave was one of the very last projects to start at the site. Its date could be ascribed to circa 477 CE, just before the sudden death of Emperor Harisena. The work stopped after scooping out of rough entrance of the hall. Cave 4. A vihara was sponsored by Mathura, likely not a noble or courtly official, rather a wealthy devotee. This is the largest vihara in the inaugural group, which suggests he had immense wealth and influence without being state official. It is placed at a significantly higher level, possibly because the artists realized that the rock's quality at the lower and same level of other caves was poor, and they had a better chance of a major vihara at an upper location. Another likely possibility is that the planners wanted to into the rock and a large cistern to the left courtside for more residence, mirroring the right, a plan implied by the height of the forward cells on the left side. The monastery is the largest among the Ajanta caves and it measures nearly 970 square meters. Cave 5. An unfinished excavation was planned as a monastery measuring 10.32 into 16.8 meters. Cave 5 is devoid of sculpture and architectural elements except for the door frame. The ornate carvings on the frame has female figures with mythical Makara creatures found in ancient and medieval era of Indian arts. The cave's construction was likely initiated about 465 CE but abandoned because the rock has geological flaws. The construction was resumed in 475 CE after the Asmakas restarted work at the Ajanta caves, but abandoned again as the artist and sponsor redesigned and focused on an expanded Cave 6 that abuts Cave 5. Cave 6 is a 2-story monastery measuring 16.85 into 18.07 meters. It consists of a sanctum, a hall on both levels. The lower level is pillared and has attached cells. The upper hall also has subsidiary cells. The sanctums on both levels feature a Buddha in preaching posture. Elsewhere, the Buddha is shown in different mudras. Only the lower floor of Cave 6 was finished. The unfinished upper floor of Cave 6 has many private votive sculptures. Cave 7. The Cave 7 is also a monastery measuring 15.55 into 31.25 meters, but a single story. It consists of a sanctum, a hall with octagonal pillars, and 8 small rooms for monks. The sanctum Buddha is shown in a preaching posture. There are many art panels narrating Buddhist themes. Cave 7 has a grand facade with 2 porticos. The veranda has 8 pillars of 2 types. One has an octagonal base with Arnalaka and lotus capital. The other lacks a distinctively shaped base, features an octagonal shaft instead with a plain capital. The veranda opens into an antechamber. On the left side in this antechamber are seated or standing sculptures such as those of 25 carved seated Buddhas in various postures and facial expressions, while on the right side are 58 seated Buddhas, reliefs in different postures, all placed on lotus. Cave 8. Cave 8 is another unfinished monastery measuring 15.24 into 24.64 meters. For many decades in the 20th century, this cave was used as a storage and generator room. It is at the river level with easy access, relatively lower than other caves, and according to Archaeology Survey of India, it is possibly one of the earliest monasteries. Much of its front is damaged, likely from a landslide. The cave excavation proved difficult and probably abandoned after a geological fault consisting of a mineral layer proved destructive to stable carvings. Cave 9. The cave has a distinct aspidal shape, nave, aisle and an apse with an icon. Architecture and plan that remains one of the cathedrals built in Europe many centuries later. The aisle has a row of 23 pillars. The ceiling is vaulted. The stupa is at the center of the apse with a circumambulation path around it. The stupa sits on a high cylindrical base. On the left wall of the cave are votaries approaching the stupa, which suggests a devotional tradition. Cave 10, a vast prayer hall or chaitya, is dated to about 1st century BCE, together with the nearby Vihara cave number 12. These two caves are thus among the earliest of the Ajanta complex. It has a large central aspidal hall with a row of 39 octagonal pillars, a nave separating its aisle and stupa at the end. The stupa has a circumambulatory path. The cave includes a number of inscriptions where parts of the cave are gifts by different individuals, which in turn suggests that the cave was sponsored as a community effort rather than a single king or one elite official. Cave 10 is also historically important because in April 1819, a British Army officer, John Smith, saw its arch and introduced his discovery to the attention of the Western audience. Cave 11. Cave 11 is a monastery measuring 19.87 into 17.35 meters from the later 5th century. The cave veranda has pillars with octagonal shafts and square bases. The ceiling of the veranda shows evidence of floral designs and eroded reliefs. Only the center panel is discernible, wherein the Buddha is seen with votaries lining up. Inside the cave consists of a hall with long rock bench opening into 6 rooms. Similar stone benches are found in Nasik caves. Another pillared veranda ends in a sanctum with seated Buddha against an incomplete stupa and has 4 cells. Cave 12. According to Archaeology Survey of India, Cave 12 in an early stage Hinayana monastery measuring 14.9 into 17.82 meters from the 2nd to 1st century BCE. Springs, however, only dates it to the 1st century BCE. The cave is damaged with its front wall completely collapsed. Its 3 sides inside have 12 cells, each with 2 stone beds. Cave 13. Cave 13 is another small monastery from the early period, consisting of a hall with 7 cells, each also with 2 stone beds, all carved out of the rock. Each cell has a rock-cut bed for the monks. In contrast to ASI's estimate, Gupte and Mahajan date both these caves about 2 to 3 centuries later between the 1st and the 2nd century CE. Caves 14. In another unfinished monastery which measures 13.43 into 19.28 meters but carved above the cave 13. The entrance door frame shows Sala Bhanjikas. Cave 15 is a more complete monastery which measures 19.62 into 15.98 meter with evidence that it had paintings. The cave consists of an 8-celled hall ending in a sanctum, an antechamber and a veranda with pillars. The reliefs show the Buddha while the sanctum Buddha is shown seated in the Simhasana posture. Cave 15 doorframe has carvings of pigeons eating corn. Cave 15A is the smallest cave with a hall and one cell on each side. Its entrance is located just to the right of the elephant decorated entrance to Cave 16. It is an ancient Hinayana cave with 3 cells opening around a minuscule central hall. The doors are decorated with a rail and arch pattern. It had an inscription in an ancient script which has been lost. Cave 16. Cave 16 measures 19.5 meter into 22.25 meters. Influenced the architecture of the entire site. It is the crucial cave that helps trace the chronology of the second and closing stages of the entire cave complex construction. Cave 16 is a Mahayana monastery and has a standard arrangements of main doorway, 2 windows and 2 aisle doorways. The veranda of this monastery is 19.5 meter into 3 meter, while the main hall is almost perfect square with 19.5 meter side. The painting in the Cave 16 are numerous. Cave 17. The cave features some of the best preserved and well-known paintings of all caves. The Cave 17 monastery includes a colonnaded porch, a number of pillars, each with a distinct style, a peristyle design for the interior hall, a shrine antechamber located deep in the cave, large windows and doors for more light, along with extensive integrated carvings. The hall of this monastery is 380.53 square meters with 20 pillars. The grand scale of the carving also introduced errors of taking out too much rock to shape the walls, which led to the cave being splayed out towards the rear. Cave 18. Cave 18 is a small rectangular space which measures 3.38 into 11.66 meters with 2 octagonal pillars, and it joins into another cell. Its role is unclear. Cave 19. Cave 19 excavation and stupa was likely in place by 467 CE, and its finishing and artistic work continued into the early 470s. But this too was an incomplete cave when it was dedicated in 471 CE. The entrance facade of the Cave 19 hall is ornate. 2 round pillars with fluted floral patterns and carved garlands support a porch. The worship hall is aspidal with 15 pillars, dividing it into 2 sides, aisles and 1 nave. The round pillars have floral reliefs and a fluted shaft topped with Buddha. The walls and the ceiling of the side aisles inside the hall are covered with paintings. Cave 20. Cave 20 is a monastery hall measuring 16.2 into 17.91 meters. Is from the 5th century. The vihara consists of a sanctum, 4 cells for monks and a pillared veranda with 2 stone-cut windows for light. Prior to entering the main hall, on the left of the veranda are 2 Buddhas carved above the window and side cell. The ceiling of the main hall has remnants of painting. Many of the figural and ornamental carvings in Cave 20 are similar to Cave 19 and to a lesser degree to those found in Cave 17. This may be because the same architects and artisans were responsible for evolution of the 3 caves. The door frames in the Cave 20 are quasi-structural, something unique at the Ajanta site. Caves 21. This cave is a monastery with a hall 28.56 into 28.03 meters with 12 rock-cut rooms for monks, a sanctum, 12 pillared and plastered veranda. The carvings on the plaster include those of animals and flowers. Cave 22. Cave 22 is a small vihara 12.72 into 11.58 meter with a narrow veranda and 4 unfinished cells. It is excavated at a higher level and has to be reached by a flight of steps. Cave 23. The Cave 23 is also unfinished, consisting of a hall measuring 28.32 into 22.52 meters, but a design similar to Cave 21. The cave differs in its pillar decoration and the Naga doorkeepers. Cave 24. Cave 24 is like Cave 21, unfinished but much larger. It features the second largest monastery hall measuring 29.3 into 29.3 meter after Cave 4. The Cave 24 monastery has been important to scholarly studies of the site because it shows how multiple crews of workers completed their objectives in parallel. The Cave 24 is significant in having one of the most complex capitals on the pillar at the Ajanta site, an indication of how the artists excelled and continuously improved their sophistication as they worked with the rock inside the cave. The artist carved 14 complex miniature figures on the central panel of the right center porch pillar while working in a dim light in a cramped space. Cave 25. Cave 25 is a monastery. Its hall measures 11.37 into 12.24 meter, is similar to the other monasteries but has no sanctum, includes an enclosed courtyard and is excavated at an upper level. Cave 26. Cave 26 is a hall measuring 25.34 into 11.52 meter, similar in plan to Cave 19 but much larger with elements of a vihara design. The crew drew upon the experiences in Cave 10 with attached wings similar to the ancient Cave 12 Hinayana style vihara. The Cave 26 complex has 2 upper stories and it shows evidence that 4 wings of the cave were planned, but these were abandoned and only the carved Buddhas on the right and left wall were completed. The sculptures in the Cave 26 are elaborate and more intricate. It is among the last caves excavated. Cave 27. Cave 27 is a monastery and it may have been planned as an attachment to Cave 26. Its 2 stories are damaged with the upper level partially collapsed. Its plan is similar to other monasteries. Cave 28. Cave 28 is an unfinished monastery partially excavated at the westernmost end of the Ajanta complex and barely accessible. Cave 29. Cave 29 is an unfinished monastery at the highest level of the Ajanta complex, apparently unnoticed when the initial numbering system was established and physically located between caves 20 and 21. Cave 30. In 1956, a landslide covered the footpath leading to the Cave 16. In the attempt to clear and restore the walkway, a small aperture and votive stupa were noticed in the debris by the workers, in a location near the stream bed. Further tracing and excavation led to a previously unknown Hinayana monastery cave dated to the 2nd and 1st century BCE. So we have gone through all the 26 caves which were allowed to visit for tourists in the Ajanta caves. Each and every cave had its own beauty. Each and every cave was different. Of course, some listed caves were very beautiful compared to the others. So yes, we are done with the Ajanta caves right now. So our next task is to ride for 400 kilometers and reach Mumbai. It's 3:30 right now. We are going to stop for lunch, have lunch and then start for Mumbai. And I don't know at what time I will be reaching Mumbai. So let's start the ride. Let's ride. Once done with the cave exploration, walk towards the ticket counter from where we get bus which will drop us at the entrance. Purchase some souvenirs. Now it was past 4 p.m. as we didn't notice the time while exploring. Halted in a small dhaba for lunch and by 5:30 p.m. started for Mumbai, which was around 400 kilometers, and reached home by 3 a.m.